Kia ora, my name is Zinga, or Antonio, and today we'll be looking at Blackout versus Turnup. Obviously, this whole run, I've watched both of the jar sets and this set, obviously, before this. Really awesome stuff. There was a lot of improvement just from like what I saw compared to like what you used to do. So you've improved a lot there, and you're also improving a lot, not only like between your sets, but just like during the tournament. And I felt like you were kind of you're showing the things that you're still improving on, and you're doing really well. This was genuinely a treat to watch, and it's awesome to see you do so well. For this set, it's before we get into the game, let's just talk about Aegis. So, firstly, just like a really simple way to start off with is, as we can see here, um, Aegis is just one of the standard characters. So, they get hit by up tilt at 158. There might be some option selects with like dash shield down tilt. But honestly, the tried and true, whatever you feel comfortable with, like dash back and shield, or shield flash will still work. Unfortunately, you don't get any, 45%, 145, 125 F tilts, but, it is what it is. So, outside of that, outside of that, the down throw, talking about her strengths and just kind of the matchup, it's a tough matchup, you know? Snake, one of his weaknesses is if the opponent has not only a good throw game, but, a really fast movement, they can really break up his game plan of just spawning nades and sitting behind shield, right? Mithra has both of those, right? So she's got speed, she's got grab, and she's also got disjoints, which usually don't help against Snake because, they usually hit nades, but they're actually fairly finicky disjoints, and they hit at areas where Snake's usually not hitting a nade, except for one aerial, and we'll explore that with how Hurt plays the matchup. But, yeah, so she's fast, she's got a good grab game. Even Pyramithra, who does lose on paper the neutral, can be quite threatening. Her side B is surprisingly adequate in the matchup, since Snake has to play so grounded, a lot of the time. He doesn't have access to, like, platform or vertical movement. So the side B actually threatens him, like, more than you'd think it does, and it causes his nade to be hit. And it causes, the side B to hit the nade. So we'll see how her overcomes that as well. But yeah, it's a tricky matchup. It's honestly, it's probably a losing matchup. Adding all the strengths together. But it's a win. Like it's a winnable matchup, right? Some of the strengths that Snake has in the matchup is that the advantage state is super strong. You can wash, rinse, repeat with nades by just bird pooping them off the stage. And the side B threat is pretty strong considering that they're not too floaty, right? So they're usually going to have to either resort to like a really unfair 50-50 or it's just a checkmate, right? Yeah, so that's kind of the things I wanted to say before the match. We'll also look at just some stuff that maybe you could do or you shouldn't do instead. But I mainly want to talk about the matchup and just the ways you can change how you play around it, because it might also help against like other fast characters with swords with decent grab games, which is kind of just Pyramithra. But I digress. All right, so one thing, so we're gonna watch this, and it's only 9 minutes, so then we'll pivot over to the set, which is Shuthorn versus Hurt. Actually, like one of the only Pyramithra VODs of Hurt, um, but it was one of the most useful ones actually. And we'll see that Hurt plays very vertically, right? He straight up, everyone tells you to down tilt more a snake, right? Like, me, every other snake main, and at this point that down tilt's really busted. But this is actually one of the matchups where you want to spend the most amount of time in the air. And you want to be anchoring your nade, jump canceling it, and then setting up another name, doing the Shogun setup. And the reason why you want to do this is because if we go over here to Mifra, and it actually happened a couple times in your set, but um, her neutral air, which is one of her best combo starters, actually has a landing hitbox, right? And it's also just super active in general, right? I mean, look at this. It's huge, right? This actually works against her in the matchup, because if you place a nade, you jump cancel it, and you don't like jump in, right? You jump backwards or something like that. It's really hard for her to get a combo going with Nair without setting off the nade. So immediately you want to start using nade jump cancels more, and just being more aerial focused, and using the reverse movement and stuff. You can also anchor the nades on the platform for the same value. And what we see Hart do is that he mixes in the ground nades and the platform nades, and then grabs, the cooked ones, and then throws it back to kind of begin neutral and punch it. Because another thing to keep in mind is that her grounded shield pressure is so safe, because her shield lag is so like low on most of her moves. Like if you look at down tilt, that I mean, it's unpunishable to begin with, but it's 5 frames of shield lag. It's incredibly hard to react to. Even dash attack is like only 7 frames of shield lag, and even though it's minus 22, it's tough to react to, right? Let me just ah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, enough stalling. Let's get into it. So after what I've said, what we'll see is that you do play this matchup very grounded, and it's conventional, right? That's the snake thing to do, but it's kind of a weakness at this point. So right there, you played grounded, you got grabbed. That that's just one example of it, right? Um, you could also get grounded and just pelted at undesirable ranges, but the grab is obviously the main threat, right? And the counter that we'll see is jumping out of it a lot. So like right here, what Hurt would do is he would jump back, right? And thinking about it, right? Like since Snake wants to be grounded, and since side B is like the anti-grounded tool, Pyro for side B, jumping is just a better option, right? Yeah, obviously Mifra grab is also the anti-grounded tool, so jumping is also the better option, right? And another thing that it enables you to do, jumping away, is that if they do side B, right? They actually commit so much to it to where you can just set up another nade however you like, right? So doing this here and being grounded is just a bit of a weakness. In general, you don't really want to fuck with Pyra unless you've got an nade out. Unless you're able to get it rolling. Nice. Yep, got awareness. I would one thing you could look at improving, it's something that a lot of snakes do, is hit confirming F tilt. So if you, instead of doing, F tilt mash every single time, what you can do is F tilt, react if it hit, and confirm if it didn't. It's, you know, it's not actually safer, right? Like, it's not, my ass went to a snake. It's not, tremendously safer as opposed to just doing F tilt 2. As we see, it's, minus 22, and this is minus 22 as well, right? But it does mean that it's just a mix up, if we look here, this has 9 frames of shield lag, which is, fringe reactable. But then, after F tilt 2, they know that nothing else is coming. So if you just do F tilt 1, you kind of have the threat of F tilt 2, and then they're reacting to F tilt 2, right? So if you ever you feel like it, just like, boot up online and practice doing F tilt hit, and then F tilt shield. And if you hit, you continue doing the F tilt, and if you don't, just let it go. It's a micro mix up. It's not huge, and there's some characters who have really fast out of shield who just break it anyway. But I think it's important to keep in mind. Nice side B, low. Yeah. Oh wait, no, they just stayed here. Then the yeah, okay. We take those. The disadvantage also, obviously, nice edit there. it's one of the hardest disadvantages for Snake, right? Mainly because Pifra's normals are just so massive. What you actually see a lot with her is that he will mix up between like landing around here and just grabbing the ledge. He's oftentimes just mixing up the ledge grab because, and by ledge grab I don't mean going low, I mean going high and then mixing up when he's gonna grab the ledge, because she basically can follow you anywhere she wants on the ground, right? Which is freaky, you know. It's quite a hard disadvantage. And another thing I noticed is that Turnup just kind of abused level 1 Pyro a lot of the time, like off ledge, right? So like a lot of the things that he would do is, did we skip past it? Yeah, like jump side B, right? Um, it's a pretty level 1 Pyro thing, right? I don't mean like skill wise, but you know, like metagame wise, like you know, you throw that out to demand respect, right? Um, Mifra also has that, as we see later on in the games, where she did like jump side B. I think there's a couple ways you could approach it. I think obviously one of the most reliable methods is just to jab here, because what they're doing is jump side B. And if I recall correctly, jab generally beats most of this pyro stuff. I think maybe drop ledge side B might stuff it out to some degree, but even then I think it's still beneficial because I think they have to put themselves in a really committal situation. So that's like the one way you could punish it. You know, if you did jab here, you would have caught them doing the side B here. Another thing you could do, um, you know, with the assumption that he's going to do this, because now you've played him, you know, you've experienced it, you could put a, this is kind of a weird term, but a wiggle missile. So what a wiggle missile is a side B that you constantly go wee 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 wee. I'm not sure if we've talked about it, and I'm sure you know it already, but you know, I'm just explaining my idea of it. The wiggle missile can be pretty good because what it does is if you place it here, it punishes these sort of instant reversals, right? Because if they act instantly, they'll get hit by the side B. If you time it really well, you could even threaten the ledge hang. But this it's like the give me respect option, right? So if you do wiggle missile like kind of over here, you'll be able to earn a little bit more respect. It's not like a kill confirm, right? You if you pre-commit a forward air, you might be able to get something from it. But in general, it's kind of just a way to say like, okay, get off. You know, we're running this again, and you might even drain some resources. So again, the way you do it is just side B. You wiggle your stick up and down. You get a really nice slow missile, and right around here, you shield cancel it. I think it's a pretty good way just to demand respect against reversals. Like oftentimes he would just stuff you out doing the nades. Nice. So that's something that Hurt would do. You know, he'd pull out the nade here. He's jumping. He's trying to avoid stuff. He nades here. Here he would jump again, and then maybe you know retreat to the platform, or maybe jump over. You know, because he's using side B. If they didn't use side B, they would just you know jump and throw another nade, and then grab this nade. But yeah, we'll see in more detail how he does it. Because you know we're seeing you play very grounded right now, right? And Hart in this matchup plays like so aerially. Okay, dangerous position, but you make it work. Nice. Dash check obviously still valuable in this match. Oh, nice. Yeah, so as we see here actually, um, it didn't happen because you hit him with an up tilt, which was a nice parry by the way. If they hit you and continued down the trajectory, they actually would have exploded the nade. Um, because of the landing hitbox. Probably could have jumped there. Nice counter to grab. In general, I would avoid picking up nades with down tilt in this matchup. Just because if they grab you, you know, I mean, it's really world's their oyster, right? I mean, you probably won't get kill confirmed, but it's just you tack on like 10% with the nade, so it's like 40 damage off of this. Nice. And as we see here, uh, the the nair set off the nade. So the nade was here, you were sitting on it, then they did nair, and they got exploded. So imagine they exploded it. So imagine that you were kind of playing in the air at this point. You would have actually won the trade, right? Obviously, you might not have gotten something huge from it, but you would have been able to reset neutral, right? And probably still would have gotten the juggle punish. In general, I think this is definitely a really proactive matchup. When they're in the air like this, there's two schools of thought. You could go for the neutral B, and set up nades to make the next neutral easier. I think it might be more valuable just to go for a call out here, or at least if you're going to pull out a nade, like, nade jump cancel up there, because it's already a matchup where taking risks is kind of necessary like this. And if you get the kill, I mean, you really can snowball this matchup. It's just hard to get there, right? But, this is a safe way to approach it, so... Oh, actually, you did do the up air. My bad. Sorry, King. I guess that was just kind of hard to get, right? So maybe the better play was actually just shield and then dash tag. Oh, nice tech. One micro optimization you can do to this is doing a B reverse here. So if you do B reverse, you get to plant yourself back to ledge. It's kind of tough, to be honest. I never really mastered it. It would have been so useful if I did, but, it's whatever. I think a really good way to practice it is just by, whenever you notice you're in the situation, just do a B reverse. Even if you don't get put there, it's always better to do a B reverse than to do this kind of up B, because this kind of up B, it's ass, right? Because it puts you in such a bad situation. But if you do like a B reverse, then you get to go up B lower to the stage, which, is still a bad position. But if you do it fast enough, eventually you can get it to where you can just grab the ledge. But it's tough. It's tough, I think. And we take those. Okay, so... How did you die here? Oh, just up here. Did you take a risk here? Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe fast play dodge was the play there, but it's a tough scenario, isn't it? Unfortunate. Nice conversion. Ooh. Um, so in general, I think, because I think I have seen you go for this before in the jar sets, or just in sets in general, and like, I do understand, like, it's low percent. Might as well try convert this into a kill. Um, and you can get, I don't know, it's probably very matchup dependent, right? Like, I would sometimes get it, but I would mainly get it on characters like Fox, right? Just characters with like super reactable up Bs. I think in general, as I've grown as a player, I've kind of found that like, it's better just to go for the win than to, because I mean this is going for the win, but this is playing the lottery. This isn't investing in stocks. This is like putting in the lotto ticket. You know what I'm saying? And it can work, and if it does work, it's really well. And it's not entirely luck. You've got a lot of controller when you do the forward smash. But the problem is that if you whiff it, I mean, you just take this, right? I think there's some matchups where it's really valuable, like maybe Fox, but I think in a lot of matchups, it's more a punish if they've just let go of the ledge. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's not well lost you the game, right? Um, but I think that, like, Nair, you just do a side beat here. You know what I mean? Like if they jump, it's whatever. They maybe land on you with like a down air. But if they did nothing like this and then jumped back in like that, you would have gotten a lot off it, I think. That was just a good punish on his end. Unfortunate. I guess you were probably too low, right? So that's unlucky. Oh wait, no, you just did it in the wrong order, right? But I don't know. That was a hard situation anyway, wasn't it? All right. So I do. Oh, that's another thing you were talking about is you aren't super confident on stages that aren't battlefield, right? So I think let me quickly. I don't want to dox you, but let me quickly look at the messages just to be absolutely sure. That's not SB. Small battlefield. That's not battlefield or SPP. Okay, okay. So this is actually one of your comfort stages, right? So I'm assuming you just didn't feel comfortable on Hollow Bastion slash Town and City. Um, what is some advice you can give there? I think for Hollow Bastion, the advice that you can mainly give is that it's really strong with C4, right? Because you can just cover the platform. Honestly, a lot of the matchups that you play are kind of just based on how your tools interact with the platforms. Um, that's why Town and City, sorry, that's why Smashville and um, Hollow Bastion are really good for this because you put a C4, you stick it in the middle of the platform, or even the sides of it, and you just cover a ridiculous amount of the stage, right? Town and City is actually one of his weaker stages because while the middle platform is pretty good for C4 placement, it obviously goes away, right? And you can also up smash is just unusable on the side platforms. So when it comes to these sort of platform stages, I think the main determining factor of how you play different is just how you use the C4 and nades, right? So if you feel like you're kind of struggling on those stages, maybe try focus on how you use C4 and nades on that stage. Because, I mean, Town City does offer some benefits, like your F tilt will kill massively earlier, so will your side B, but, the trade off is that your neutral will be slightly weaker because of the awkward platform layout and, contemporariness of those platforms. Anyway, let's go into game two. So I like the idea at the start of this match. You placed like a nade on, you were anchoring a nade on this platform, and that's just very good, right? Um, Anchoring it towards them as well. If they did nair, they got hit, and you can afford these stray hits, in like double jump range because they're not going to convert into anything, right? It's mainly like the grounded nairs that go unchallenged that you want to avoid because that's when they get, and their grabs, of course. That's when they get a lot off of their punish game, right? So I really like this anchoring of the nades here. He tried a dash egg there, I think, but whatever. Unfortunate not getting the nair there. Yeah, and this is when they start eating their food, right? Like they hit you here, then they start getting whatever they want. Nice disadvantage. Ooh, this was meant to be a down air, right? So, oh yeah, no, I hate that. It's really annoying. I mean, could you maybe have just buffered it? Yeah, you probably could have just buffered it. What I do is honestly, I just hold down and A, and, down jump an and then just do my drift otherwise, right? Like you could do it more optimally by doing the C stick method, right? Where you do bumper jump, C stick down and direction, but it's a lot more stress, right? So honestly, I generally just do jump A down, and then immediately hold the drift that I want. Whenever it is someone who's like considerably far away, and I feel like I could get it if I do the max drift, I will do bumper jump, C stick down, movement. But in those scenarios, you have to do it in that order, right? You have to do jump, C stick, and then out. Because otherwise the buffer system gets in the way, and what happens is the C stick gets turned into a input, and then if you're holding forward, you'll get a forward air, right? So what you want to do is you want to do jump C stick. You want to flick the C stick because you don't want to have it holding down, because if you hold it down and forward, you'll get that weird A macro. So you want to flick it and then hold forward or backwards. Nice. Nice. Wiggle missile could be used here just to challenge, because also you're not committing much with the wiggle missile. Oh, would you be? Might actually hit past there, but then I feel like you'd probably be able to challenge them. Yeah. I mean, that or you just dash shield in, because now they have to up B, right? I mean, it's not like a terrible situation, right? You got back on stage. It's more a high percents, right? And maybe just side being them would be a little bit more fruitful. Just keep yourself safe. You know, obviously your snake, you can play the war of attrition. You don't have to kill them immediately, right? Like honestly, like right over here, I think the approach was a little misguided. I would just throw nades in the corner and just try punish them from escaping the corner, right? Because it's obviously one of the matchups where you just don't have a lot of control of your opponent. And them doing this side B here, you know, wiggle missile, whatever, but just throwing the nades there might be a good way to catch them doing this sort of level one recovery, um, and just give you a little bit more control over the neutral that happens afterwards. Nice back up. Okay, so this was a nice nade, and it could have converted into more, I think, but I do like the fairy behind it. This double jump near could have probably caught a double jump from disadvantage. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just I mean, you know, it's a hard call out, and that's fine, and you know, you have to take risks in this matchup. But when you're in this position, I think it's better just to play it safe and start bird pooping more, because then you punish them for recovering. Even though there, you had a nice nade there to cover it. Nice. Ooh, that could have been a lot. Keep in mind, I saw this from the Malaysian snake main that I've told you about. And he coaches, you know, some of the best snakes in the world. When you use nade, you're giving up your grounded tools, which is some of the best grounded tools in the game, right? So you really have to be picky around being, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it, right? Um, you need to be picky about when you pull these nades. And right here is like another example. Like imagine if this was Apollo Kage. I feel like, you know, he would just do the up tilt, right? Even maybe her. It's just like pulling nade out in this sort of scenario. Um, it's a trade-off, right? You're giving up better neutral. Sorry, you're giving up a better punish for better neutral in the future, right? In this scenario, you're not really gonna get um better neutral in the future, right? So maybe it was better just to use your grounded tools there. Because the only other thing that the nade threatens is like if they attack landed, and you shielded. But yeah, I think maybe here it's worth, maybe if they're in the corner and you know they're doing this sort of high recovery, just like go for the up tilt, and also walk. Don't dash, because walking is that's another thing. Walking is a really important thing to do with snake, because the thing with dash is that the only thing you can cancel out of a dash immediately is jump, and his arrows are dog shit for with punishing. um, side B, and you've got Nikita, uh, dash attack, which is obviously really good, but it's the only other, and it's not going to kill it 100%. Um, and up B, and obviously Snake, Snake up B is a joke for that. So, one thing to keep in mind is that walking is the best way to move and be actionable with up tilt because you can immediately up tilt out of walk. Now his walk isn't the fastest in the game, but it's fast enough that it really does fret him, especially with up tilt being so big, right? So here I would try walk instead of just a dash. Also because walking puts you actionable for neutral B instantly as well, which is another thing to keep in mind. Could have gone for a At high percents, I guess you do have to worry about the Mithra throw actually because it does set up into Pyra, but I don't know. It was definitely a really risky down air. Maybe just going for the grab would have been better, because the only thing that down air bet that grab didn't was spot dodge, and getting them to spot dodge, they might also punish with just their special fucking epic roll, slash I forget what it's called, but the weird mechanic that they've got. So I feel like you just simplify there, right? If they're at high percent, your goal is to grab, and if they counter the grab, then you've got information for the next stock. You know what I mean? Nice. The Apollo Kage School of Double Jump Nair. I would like to see a dash attack there. Uh, Mithra's not really big enough to get hit by C4 there. Nice. Nair would have countered that as well, although, yeah, I don't know. Something about jumping. That was really close. Hmm. That's rough. You had a good idea there, and it would have worked, but I guess it's probably just safer just to go for the dash tag here. Out of these sort of scrambles, like the most you would get off grab is a nice forward throw, but the dash tag just really works in your favor here. It's worth keeping in mind that with punishing Pyramithra is actually really effective on her aerials here because they've all got 14, 15 frames of end lag, and only back air auto cancels out of a short hop. So if you're playing neutral, and you're really close to them to the point where you're just going for strike throw, like shield parry mix ups. Just going for the dash or dash in, shield parry, whatever. You've got control over them in the air. Going for the dash tag, I think, is probably the safest thing you can go for. Nice. You're still in the driver's seat right now, which is good. Well, not the driver's seat, but like you're in a good position. Yeah, that's painful. I mean, obviously you could say recover high. It was a bit of a hard angle. If not recover high, just try. This is the worst angle to recover at, right? I would say like recovering super low is probably the second best thing here. But it's a tough situation, right? Because also down air is just super consistent. One tip you kind of have to do as Snake is you have to really abuse the length of your air dodge, right? Just like the absolute max you can go, because otherwise Pyramorpha just demolishes you with like a really easy timing. Nice air dodge. That's a good punish, actually. I'm a big fan of that. Down smash in general is a violent option, right? Ooh, unlucky. You definitely could have taken out that stock either with bird pooping at ledge or just side being there. But I'm really a big fan of this down smash you did. That's just really good awareness. Another thing you could do to these blazing ends is throwing out a full hop back here, as an auto cancel, and then drifting back out. That could be a nice way to punish it. But nice with punish. Is that true? Probably, yeah. Yeah, I'd probably air dodge there. Sometimes when you're like at this position, even if you did a B reverse, I'm pretty sure you would have gotten hit. I think you weren't showing fast fall air dodge enough as an option. And I think it's something to consider for the disadvantage. You know, it's not perfect because you can probably option select a down tilt afterwards, but it at least allows you to live for another mix up, right? So this game, I was a big fan of the start of it. You were actually doing really well in advantage state. So obviously you kind of got beat up here. Again, what did you do actually? Did you do? Huh. I guess if you dash check, you probably would have won. But anyway, yeah, he gets whatever off you. I would say, you know, start the game with just neutral B jump. But yeah, he gets a little bit off you. He crosses up, doesn't get hit by the nade. You manage to get through. You pull a nade there, which again, nade sacrifices grounded tools, right? So if they're in close in proximity to you, it's generally not super worth it unless they're really slow. Nice. Fast forward dodge, actually. Yeah, unfortunately that cyber just locks you in. I don't think you can roll out of it. I'd love to lab it, but unfortunately my switch is bricked. Unfortunate that that didn't hit there. Nice. So, obviously, you know, I talked about before how nades sacrifice your grounded tools, but they don't sacrifice grab because you can shield grab out of it. So this is a really nice opportunist take on it. If they were high percent, I'd probably just go for the whiff punish, right? But since they're low percent and you know they're likely to shield, I think this was a good call. Nice, covering both options and even maybe a third option with roll. You got an aid here, you run in for an up smash here. This might not have covered roll, or if it did, maybe it would have even comboed. But this is a really nice position to be in. Alright, he goes for the down air. I would look for parry rather than outspacing, so just kind of like shield flicking around here. You can get a lot of it, but this outspacing is perfectly fine as well, right? It's the same thing in the end. And this was a really good whiff punish. Alright, so you double nade here. That's fine. You might have been able to go for like a double jump back here, but that's completely all good. And then you nade them here. You kind of lose your turn here, but not by that much, and you get a nice whiff punish on the roll in. That was really good proactiveness. This is where it kind of fell apart. Is they did this side B here. You know, they punished you giving them too much respect. And they won off here. You maybe could have just held shield a little longer, and it would have been better. You know, done maybe a missile or just stood away at center stage. But essentially, you know, they're playing off of the respect you're giving them right now. And they call out your double jump. Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I'd try, and we'll see this actually in Hertz game, but putting the C4 here is amazing, and just playing around the nades there. You know, you can loop nades and C4 for as long as you want on these sort of platforms. Ooh, yeah, that's fair. And I imagine right now your mind wasn't really too in it when you're at this sort of deficit. Um, but the first stock was still a really good showcase. And I think from here, you get kind of hit here, yeah, swap, hit, and then followed with the down air, which at a stock deficit, this is kind of just like it happens. Snake below ledge is kind of awful. But yeah, okay. So I've been talking about this set a lot, and I do just want to showcase it. Unfortunately, it's only like 2 games of Pyramithra because Shuton is a weirdo who swaps every single game. Um, but yeah, look at this. Like, look at this immediately, right? He is not even touching the ground, right? I mean, he went down there, but he's spending so much time in the air. He's playing around the platforms, especially. He's not using too much airspace here. It's either here or here, right? He's just walling off zones, nading. So he anchors a nade here. He B reverses back here. He instantly jump cancels the grounded nade here, and then he grabs the prior nade and then throws that, right? He does get grabbed here, but then he's got the insurance of the nade here, which covers him. If Shuton was better, he would have been able to cover that, but that's good theory nonetheless, right? You're moving around with nade, you're trying to not sit and shield too much, and when you're next to nade, you're trying to make sure that it's about to explode and threaten the approach that they're trying to do, right? So again, nade, jump cancel, C4 was there, nade, he anchored that there, he B reversed, and then threw that one there, he naded, B reversed, might grab this one, actually abandons anchor to try get an up tilt call out, which just barely missed, by the way. So yeah, he's got the nade here, he's got the nade here, he neutral tosses this, he abandons this one, he up tilts here. This was a just beautiful play. You know what I mean? Like, this worked. Um, but just barely missed. Horizontal nades are also pretty good. Keep that in mind. But like this is just honestly like amazing. Um, Trying to get a wake up tilt. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to get that. I say unfortunately, like this guy's fucking one of my, one of the people I coach. Yep. So as we see here, he's trying to mix up, between just landing on ledge here or maybe grabbing the ledge just because of Pyra's so scary. Jumping in and out, abandoning the second one here to throw the other one. Keeping jumping. I mean, you're just seeing him so in the air. I don't even think he's done maybe like 2 down tilts the entire first stock, right? And then he isn't playing a lot of C4 there. Okay, so and then the advantage state is just Nikita, even though I think he missed this one. But then they just drifted back. But yeah, obviously you've got like a decent advantage state. I mean, the main reason Snake loses any matchup is the neutral, right? Like, he actually does quite well again, grabbing the ledge. He does quite well in advantage state versus basically everyone. And I do just want to point out that he grabbed the ledge while going high as well, right? So this is the mix-up. It's you go high, you avoid them from covering your mid or low recovery, and then you mix up when you're grabbing the ledge. He did so with Nikita, which is pretty creative, but you can just do so without it either. He also uses dash attack fairly sparingly, probably for these sort of scenarios. Um, but he's mainly looking for whiff punishes with dash attack. As opposed to just burst options, because you don't want to be the aggressor in this match, right? You want to be able to force them into aggressing. That's why you just don't see her approaching, and he instead does these sort of like walling around with nades. Yep, again, just platform camping. It's good, and it's the one thing you can't get grabbed on a platform here. There's no fast way for them to do so aside from doing a full hop and landing, and then that's just reactable. And if they do near, you hit them. Um, Platform camping is kind of the go-to in this matchup. retreating to platform. He tried to do a B reverse inwards, I think, but nonetheless. Again, jumping in and out. Miscooks that nade, but, you know, it would have been a nice idea. Okay, what do we see on this recovery? Again, trying to go to ledge. Just really not fucking with the landing here. You know, Pyromithra up air is just too strong to really contest with, as we see here, right? If he just went to ledge here, he probably would have done fine. So again, as we're seeing here, just a lot of shield cancels, right? He's just not keeping grounded because he knows that the burst range for Pyromithra, or Mithra specifically, is just so massive that they can really grab you from anywhere, you know? So he's making this distance, he's making them work to get in, and he's just you know, forcing them to commit to either just getting stray hits or nothing, really. Or getting hit by like the trade on the nair. I really like the bird poop there. Maybe could have gotten a back here if he was a little bit faster, but that was really cool nonetheless. Jump here is just the better option, by the way. He kind of messed up here. If he jumped and then did down smash, he covered everything. Except for weight, of course. And then skill issue here. Just like cutting off oxygen to this spot of the map, you know what I mean? Or stage. Was that the Nair exploding it? Yes, it was. And actually, I think that actually exploded it because the random chance kicked in and it forced him to drop the nade. Yeah, it did, lol. Epic game. Nice. Anchoring, nades, grab, throw. Grab, throw, and anchoring nades stay in the air. I mean, just look at how. Oh, la, la. Yeah, look at that down there. Yeah, obviously I pre-watched this set and I did see this, but just look at it. I mean, he's just like not letting Shudong get anything um off of his normals, and now we're just gonna skip ahead because he's swapped again. So this is, you know, a nice little VOD to watch for getting better at Hollow Bastion. Look at the C4 placement. Then he'll just jump in and do nades here. You can loop this indefinitely, you know? If you place a C4 there and you just play around nades, you're basically untouchable unless they've got a really good grab game as a player. So you'll see him retreat to the platform to place a C4 so often, and just place a nade there. Like, the one weakness is that you can't Z catch Z drop nades immediately onto the platform, but it's completely fine. Unfortunately, did that? Oh, that's right. Sticky removes it. That's, yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind, I guess, is that Sticky is kind of useless uh, as a stick onto the opponent. Unless you want some wild metagame strats. Making his way in. Nice mix up. Obviously, he couldn't make the ledge there and it would have been worse. Could have made him more predictable. A bit of a scared punish there, but I think neutral B is just kind of weird to punish. So obviously, the higher percent you are, the kind of more in line it is to use shield, just because they're not going to get a lot of it either. It's mainly at the low percent, beginning neutral, that you really want to use jumps a lot. And so yeah, so he's you see again he placed the C4 here. He's always kind of retreating to the center stage, to place the C4, and he's got so many nades around here, and he placed it all just by moving around with jump cancels, right? Um, and even there, he probably didn't need to there, just because the nair would have messed him up. But you're really challenging them from pressing a button, because if they press like nair or something like right there, they blow themselves up, which really constrains her grab game. So the fact that you can just platform camp on this center platform is so strong for Snake. Because it basically forces them into the corner. And if they mess up, they get owned, right? And if they're complacent in camping, now you have the driver's seat and you can choose, okay, I'm either gonna keep camping or I'm gonna just throw an nade at them. And so obviously we're going to see this game plan kind of just wash, rinse, repeat. Go back to the center platform, play C4, place nade, go back to the platform, mix around with nades, C4, back here, nade here, probably going to leave the ledge trap after this and go for a C4. Oh, went for a mix-up. Apologies, my MacBook ran out of charge. Let's continue. Wow, that's unfortunate. The get up attack just bit out the parry. I mean, did he do anything wrong here? I'm not too familiar on the option selects for Mithra, so it might just be that, yeah, she's just one of the weird characters where this works. Probably he could have just waited, because the problem is that he did F tilt here, which, as we saw there on that frame, just moved his hurt box into the second one. So if he like the problem is that if it hit, it would have only been the first hit either, right? So he should have just done up tilt here. I'm not sure why he went for F tilt. Maybe as a punish to roll in, because that is a real option select. You do dash shield F tilt, and it beats some get up attacks and a lot of rolls. But Mifra might just be one of the weird characters. Good recovery to Ledge on his end. He kind of just abandons the down throw there. He doesn't really have a lot of good information. Does have a good side B there. Punishes Pyromifer for existing. So here, like, you did the same thing, right? You did double jump now. The difference here is that Hurt has earned slightly more respect, so he can be more disrespectful, right? Whereas like turn up in the matchup would just do like jump side B maybe. In fact, I think we saw the exact same situation a couple times. Just a phenomenal mix up of his recovery, yeah. Ooh, dancing on the grave there. Plays himself back to, so he's back at 0%, so it's back to jumping a lot. Again, jumping C4. That's another thing that's really good, is just jumping C4ing, and then landing on the platform you just C4'd, because a lot of the time they're not going to fuck with it, right? And he actually has enough time to pull a nade. C4 has ridiculously low end lag. Like, if we look at, and actually a little trick, if you do a buffered short hop C4, you won't get hit by it, if you're right on top of it. But like, look at the end lag. 5 frames of end lag. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? it's busted. So you can that's another reason why you can just fully abuse the platforms here using C4. Yeah, and then this was kind of a Zutzwang. Zutzwang means that no matter what the opponent does, or like no matter what option the opponent does, it's going to make them lose. Um, so they did Nikita here. If they didn't do an instant upbeat, they would have gotten hit, and if they if they did do an instant upbeat, which they did, they're forced into this terrible landing. So yeah, okay, cool. So now we've watched Heart and we've watched your set. So what have we learned? So firstly, between maybe like 0 and 50%, 60%, whatever you kind of gauge, try play more around nade, short hop. You know, so nade, short hop. You want to anchor the nades onto platforms. Remember that you can place nades onto platforms by using neutral B, because neutral B acts as a Z drop, right? So you want to be able to move around kind of in this short hop range of Nair over and over again, to punish not only them trying to get a Nair combo starter, but them trying to camp you out, because if you've got these nades and you're doing these Shogun setups, you can cover both them trying to throw out aerials and hit and trade with them, but you can also set up really good zoning. And it's good to keep in mind that like you're gonna take hits, you're gonna take stray hits in the matchup, but it's fine as long as it's not like Nair or a grounded down tilt or something like that. The main thing you're fighting against in the matchup is those two tools, and grab obviously, right? So being able to take those out by having nades all over the place and playing, around the platforms, just platform camping. You know what I mean? And air camping is just really good. With platform camping specifically, it's honestly like a bit of an art, right? You have to really know your C4 options and your nade options. So keep in mind that like doing like nade jump C4, that's a really good platform camping option, right? And then you can do like double jump, activate C4 and then land with a nade, and it's so hard for them to deal with it, right? They really have to have gotten you to high percent to be able to contest you like that. um, Another thing to keep in mind is just on the offstage respect, just try maybe throw out the missile, or maybe even have a pre-planned C4 there to punish, jump side from ledge, or jump then side B to ledge. It's cheese options require cheese solutions sometimes, right? It's the level one scuffle. So if you kind of rein it back and tell them, like, okay, I'm not gonna let you do this, you'll get a lot more leniency on your future setups, and you might be able to tell what they're going to do in the future. Also, they might just have a tendency to do these sort of options, right? Maybe they're really nervous off stage, so they're like instantly going to do something like that, right? So yeah, what's another thing that we learned from here? I think that's about it. Honestly, I mean, you could have bird pooped off stage a little bit more by just be dropping the nades off of a platform, but stage. You can also do that off of platforms if you want. It's really strong. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup, but um, it's a winnable matchup. You were looking really hot in this first stock, and you had a few moments of genius in this set. So keep it up. Again, really proud of you for this run. Like, this was an awesome run. Making, I believe, fourth place, was it? You were like 12th seed. Really well done, dude. I'm really excited to see you at your next tournament. And yeah, just keep it up. I don't know how studies are, but if you can practice online, give it a go. If you want to practice offline, just hop into training mode, practice some movement, practice some drills, and you'll be good. All right.